Next on the news, almost 2 weeks after the mid-air collision, the American Airlines pilot is being laid to rest.
People packed the pews of the Shrine Church of St. Bernadette to mourn the Brooklyn native. I'm Katie Vasquez, and I'll have that story coming up.
Its doors have been open for more than a century, but come June, Our Lady of Perpetual Help Catholic Academy will close. Plus, more than 150 years after the Blessed Mother first appeared in a small French town, Catholics around the world are celebrating the feast day of Our Lady of Lourdes. I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now.
I go before you always come.
Brooklynites fill the Shrine Church of St. Bernadette to mourn one of their own, the American Airlines pilot who died in a mid-air collision over the nation's capital, being laid to rest in Dyker Heights on Tuesday. Family and friends are finding consolation that Captain Jonathan J. Campos died living out his dream. The Brooklyn boy had always wanted to be a pilot, and now mourners at the Shrine Church of St. Bernadette feel he is soaring among the saints in the heavens. Currents News' Katie Vasquez was at Jonathan's funeral mass in Dyker Heights and filed this report.
Family and friends feel Jonathan J. Campos was taken too soon. The pilot from Brooklyn died in a mid-air collision over the Potomac River in late January. Now at his funeral mass at the Shrine Church of St. Bernadette, loved ones are praying for his soul and grieving the young life lost. Those who knew and loved Captain Jonathan J. Campos looked on as his casket was brought into the Shrine Church of St. Bernadette in Dyker Heights on Tuesday.
And of the Holy Spirit.
A fond farewell for a man who family friend Deacon Edwin Rivera called a hero.
God will see the good nature in him and reward him for it.
American Airlines Flight 5342 plunged into the Potomac River on January 29th with 60 passengers and 4 crew members, including Jonathan, traveling from Wichita, Kansas to Washington, D.C. The plane and a military helicopter collided in midair as the flight was approaching the runway. Everyone on board died. His girlfriend of 10 years spoke at the funeral.
I will hold firmly to the memories of what it's like to have and love that person.
The airline says the Brooklyn-born pilot left a lasting impression on everyone.
We are better for the experiences he gave us and for the way he made us feel.
The 34-year-old captain enjoyed traveling and had a passion for aviation. His family says he made others smile with his mischievous grin and goofy sense of humor. Now those close to him have to learn how to live without him.
I always knew I would love you forever. I'm not sure how to face the days ahead without my soulmate.
Jonathan will be buried at St. John Cemetery in Middle Village alongside his late father, a New York City police officer. In Dyker Heights, Katie Vasquez, Currents News.
For more coverage of Jonathan Campos' funeral, just go to thetablet.org. Also happening in the Diocese of Brooklyn, after more than 100 years of Catholic education, Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Sunset Park will officially close its doors at the end of the school year. It all comes down to a decline in enrollment. Currents News' Katie Vasquez spoke with students and parents on Monday about the announcement.
It's been serving Sunset Park since 1903. That's 122 years and thousands of graduates. But the class of 2025 will be its very last, a harsh reality for students like Tiffany and Edison Jing.
I felt sad.
Why were you sad?
Because I like the school.
Just sad. Our Lady of Perpetual Help has a long history in Sunset Park, first opening its doors in 1903 as St. Alphonsus. Now the community is gearing up to say goodbye.
To be honest, it's a shocker. Because, it's been here for a really long time. My whole life I've been seeing it around.
It's been a tough couple of days for students and staff.
I know there was a great deal of tears. I'm sure that the tears continued as the children were home with their families. I know that the staff and other people involved have been very upset. But I think this is something that has brought us together and made us even stronger and sort of further proves the resiliency of this community.
Enrollment at the school declined 36% over the last 5 years. Only 85 students were registered for the upcoming school year.
I think that the staff has done a really good job of preparing lessons and making sure that they were able to facilitate good conversations with the students.
Activities and events will continue through the end of the school year, and the doors will close permanently at the end of August. Until then, the school will lean on each other to get through.
I know in the face of such sadness, they'll continue to come together and help each other through this time.
The Diocesan Schools Office is hoping to ease the transition for students by transferring them to a local Catholic school. In Sunset Park, Katie Vasquez, Current News.
For a complete list of all Diocese of Brooklyn schools, just go to catholicschoolsbq.org/find-a-school. Pope Francis has written a letter to U.S. bishops on immigration. In the Holy Father's 10-point letter, he talks about the reality of our time that is so clearly marked by the phenomenon of migration, expressing support for the bishop's efforts to uphold the dignity of every human person. The pontiff says he is following what he calls the major crisis that is taking place in the United States with the initiation of a program of mass deportations. He urged the bishops to remain steadfast in their work and entrusted the prelates and the migrants to the protection of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Around 1,500 people of all faiths took to the streets of San Diego on Sunday to stand with migrants. The prayers and procession, led in part by Cardinal Robert McElroy, were a call for the new arrivals to be treated with dignity and compassion. Danny Miskell has that story.
Hundreds of believers from different faiths joined the Catholic Diocese of San Diego on a march from St. Joseph Cathedral to a federal building in downtown. They're singing and uniting behind a message of compassion.
That just as Jesus, Mary, and Joseph had to flee oppression to another land, so too we must stand with those who are immigrants here in our midst now.
Cardinal Robert McElroy says he's not against immigration policies.
Catholic teaching says that a country has a right to control its borders, and we do, and we need to tend to that. But this undifferentiated war of fear on our undocumented population is unacceptable and certainly contrary to Catholic faith.
Susan Brown Snook, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of San Diego, says the prayer service intended to awake compassion.
To remember what God has called us to do, which is to love our neighbors.
Both Bishop Brown Snook and Cardinal McElroy say
they're afraid.
Many immigrant families are telling the churches they're living in fear.
People are afraid to go in public now. So they're hunkering down in their homes.
That people are afraid to go to school or to go to food pantries or to go to church.
The two church leaders say there are two pathways ahead.
To secure the border in a way that is humane and respecting of human rights. Or else we're going to embark upon breaking up families, causing untold suffering among our people.
That was Danny Miskell reporting. The service marks one of Cardinal McElroy's last major public appearances in San Diego before he assumes the role of shepherd of the Archdiocese of Washington. Finally, tonight, Tuesday, marks the feast day of one of the most famous Marian apparitions. It was over 150 years ago that the Blessed Mother appeared to 14-year-old Saint Bernadette in the small French town of Lourdes. The image of Mary, who would go on to be called Our Lady of Lourdes, would appear 18 more times to the young girl, encouraging people to pray and helping Saint Bernadette find a miraculous spring with healing waters. Some 5 million pilgrims still travel to that site today, where the Vatican has recognized some 70 miracles that have occurred at the Marian Shrine. That is this Currents News Update. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us, because we are putting your faith in the news. Before we go, we want to pay tribute one final time to that fallen pilot, Jonathan J. Campos. Hope to see you again next time.
Be not afraid.